Much of America went into this week still shell-shocked by the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, setting women's rights back by 50 years. On Tuesday, our entire understanding of the assault on our Capitol last year was rocked as a former White House aide testified that President Trump knew full well that there was a sea of heavily armed protesters at his rally on January 6th and that he lashed out when he was prevented from marching to the Capitol alongside them. Our current president, Joe Biden, took part in an historic NATO summit at which the alliance agreed to soon add 2 new members, Sweden and Finland. Yesterday, we saw the first African-American woman sworn in to serve on the United States Supreme Court, the same day that the Supreme Court took away one of the EPA's best tools for fighting climate change. It's been a weird week, in a weird year, in a weird couple of years for America. So don't feel alone if you feel like it's complicated to be celebrating America right now. But this is what America is. Steps forward, steps backward. A never-ending push to make America the country that it could be. Which is why I was so pleasantly surprised to hear that since the catastrophic Roe ruling on Friday, in the span of that single week, 1,400 people have signed up with the organization Run for Something. 1,400 people who experienced this week in all of its chaos and heartache and said, I'm going to do something about this. Joining us now is Amanda Litman, the co-founder and executive director of Run for Something, an organization that recruits and supports young progressive people to run for office. Amanda, thank you so much for being with us tonight. You represent the best of what Americans can do in tough times. There are definitely clouds hanging over us, and yet you've got 1,400 people. What are the 1,400 people signing up to do? To run, to help people run? What are they signing up for?
So those 1,400 people are joining the Run for Something pipeline, which now numbers over 120,000 young people all across the country who've raised their hands to say, I want to run for local office. What's next? Maybe that means this year, maybe that means 5 years down the road. But these are people who are willing to change their lives, maybe change their careers, ultimately to make their community a better place. And it's one of the reasons why I am so hopeful, even though the present is pretty bleak.
Well, I guess the point is if there's some thought that you might run for something now or in the future, at least that means you're involved. At least that means you're reading in. At least it means you're attending meetings. At least it means you're registered to vote and you go out to vote. So it's better than a starting point for citizenship. It's an advanced course. It's PhD citizenship.
That's exactly right. These are people who care about solving problems in their community, who are willing to do the work. Many, many of them volunteer with some of the thousands of Run for Something endorsed candidates we've worked with over the years. They're knocking doors, they're talking to voters, especially about hyper-local issues in a way that their neighbors really understand. It's democracy at its finest. And I think it's really beautiful that it's normal people, parents, teachers, refugees, artists, scientists, musicians, rodeo stars, battle rappers, who just think that their voice deserves to be heard too.
How do you cause people who are motivated by something so big, like the overturning of Roe v. Wade, into realizing that this success of your political adventure starts local, and it can be a very big deal just to deal with your local issues? That's how you influence the process.
Well, I think abortion is a really good example now, unfortunately, that it is going to be decided in state legislatures and city councils and even in school boards across the country. You can have city councils like we've seen in Austin and mayors like we've seen in Cincinnati who make abortion basically decriminalized in their community, who set up funds to help residents leave the city to get the care that they need. You can have DAs like in Michigan and Texas and candidates in Florida and Arizona who've said, I'm not going to prosecute. You're able to take these really big, sticky national issues and solve them in some way, shape, or form in your community and have a direct impact and then live the results of that impact. It is such a beautiful journey.
What's the distinction between people you recruit to run for office and people you endorse?
Our program works a little bit like a marketing funnel. So people sign up, they join a conference call to learn a little bit more about how you run. They get a bunch of materials to help you figure out how to get it on the ballot. They then might work with some of our staff or many of our partner organizations. Once they officially file, they can apply for our endorsement. And we've endorsed more than 2,000 candidates in the 5 years the organization has been around and helped elect nearly 650 across 48 states, mostly women, mostly people of color, all under the age of 40, all first-time candidates.
It's amazing. Well, thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that for democracy. Amanda Litman is the co-founder and executive director of Run for Something. What a fantastic idea, the kind that actually saves democracy. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.